breaths to exhale. So watch. So when we do that reverse hip torque, think of a whip. Tu prends une serviette, you take a wet towel in the locker room, and you go whoop, and you leave it there. It's going to do this. Right? Creepy and not at all painful. I need to snap it back in order to have any delivery of power. And the towel is super light, right? Maintenant, imagine tu as le même serviette avec un roche dedans, un bal solide. You put a ball or a rock in there. Yeah? I go whoop. It's the difference between going like that, or I whip it. You have even more power being generated, and it's still going in. Take a chain, as light as a chain is. If I hit you like that, it'll hit one time, there's an impact. If I hit and pull back, now I start to get hooking, chain wrapping, grating, ripping the skin. You take a whip and don't snap it back, and you have a hard slap. If I retract, sur la rétraction avec un fouet, maintenant tu peux briser le barrière de son, the sound barrier snaps. And people sometimes think a whip hurts if they've never seen what a whip does. A whip will explode, it will just split, not only the skin and the fat, but right into the muscle. It'll go in, a whip will break bone. But a whip is powerful, it's not just breaking the sound barrier and doing nothing physically, there's huge power. A 10-foot bullwhip hits you, you're cut like a knife. It's devastating. There's a reason Cossacks were using whips against swords and knives, because it was an equally powerful and very unorthodox weapon. Not just because they wanted to make it harder for themselves, I'm just going to use a whip, right? Devastating. So when we whip like this, nothing about it has to stay on the surface. It's me who determines. If I hit the skin like that just on the surface, yes, it's going to resound on the surface. But if I penetrate in a few centimeters on that retraction, horrifying. So I can do the exact same work where I start off braced and loaded, I deliver, and then I can come all the way back. And as you get better and better and deliver more and more power and you understand stability, you can get stability everywhere. You can pivot from one to the other, transfers of the pedal, right? So I can start loaded, crank one, and then as this one comes back, both are setting because you're stable. Once you're stable, you can do anything you want. Right? If you don't have it and you try to imitate it, that's where you get hurt. We saw that the hand went thumb up, military salute, thumb down. We saw that kind of action. What I want to add to it at minimum is that kind of huff in the breath. So it's in, my body's open. And then as I hit, it breathes for me. There's barely even a noise. If it's super comfortable, I can start to get thoracic mobility, like we did on the wall. Imagine just standing there and fixing your hips, and I go forward from the plexus, side from the plexus, back from the plexus. That movement has the same effect as the shoulders, as would the abs. It's huffing the breath forward. So I can now change if I want to work on my thorax as well. Instead of being thumb up on the impact, thumb down. With either the back of the hand, can even be the back of the fingers depending on what you're looking for, or can even be the back of the wrist. Fingers are good for the eyes, hand is more for face, wrist is more solid, like the jaw. And I'm hitting, coming around the head like a cowboy with a lariat. But I want to feel, pivot, return. It's very hard to stay here and hit without causing a little bit of excessive strain on the thorax. So I hit the same way and pull it. If I had a club, you'd swing and come back. But it's the breath. Make sense? If it's not comfortable, if you don't have that thoracic freedom, then just work here and think of your breath. And back. 2 minutes to switch. That's it. Last one before we go.